Unlike many other programming languages, JavaScript doesn't have a lot of built-in objects for us to try and remember. It has the math object we can directly use. It has an array object. One of the others is the date object. This is how we'd make a new date. Now, while you could, of course, just make several variables to hold a year, month, and day yourself, this one's a bit more useful. So we use the var today, pick your own variable name, equals the word new and date with an uppercase D and using parentheses. Now, if you don't pass any parameters, you will get it returned with the current date and time. And notice that it's not just the date, it's the time. It's actually the time down to the millisecond. Now, you don't always want a date object that exists for today. So you could create another one, which is a new date, and then passing in year, month, and day. But notice, month is zero-based, like an array. It goes from 0 to 11. The year is the real year, the day is the real day, 1 through 31, but month is zero-based here. You can also get it down to, in this case, seconds. Year, month, day, hours, minutes, seconds, if you want to be very specific. Internally, a date object is stored as the number of milliseconds since the 1st of January 1970, which is a pretty common way of doing it in the programming world. Once you have a date object, like having an array or like having a string, you can do things with it. We have a lot of methods of the date object that begin with the word get. So after creating a new object, I can say today.getMonth and returns 0 through 11. I can say today.getFullYear to give me the 4-digit version. That one's not zero-based, so it would return 2011, 2012, and so on. There is actually a today.getYear, but that one's officially deprecated, meaning that it would work, but you're not supposed to use it anymore. The recommended one is getFullYear. We have today.getDate. Now, for those of you coming from things like SQL, that might sound like something that should return the full date, but no, here, that will actually return you the day of the month, and it's 1 through 31, as opposed to today.getDay, which would return 0 through 6 for the day of the week, and 0 is the Sunday. An example of using this is if I define, say, a new date. Here I'm doing a date that is 1906 December, because we're zero-based with the month, and the 9th. That's actually Grace Hopper's birthday, or Grandma Cobol. So I'm going to then write out console.log. Give it a string, then a comma, and then I will call mydate.getDay. Opening and closing parentheses, just to say I'm passing no parameters there. I then close the parentheses of the console.log call and finish the statement. We run that. Apparently Grace Hopper was born on a Sunday. And simple, silly example there, but that's how you start to get into the deeper parts of the date object. We even have today.getHours. This one is also zero-based, 0 through 23. And there's today.getTime. Now this one will actually return the milliseconds since the 1st of January 1970. Now that sounds like it's a little bit esoteric, but in fact, getTime is one of the most useful methods of the date object, and you'll probably see it used quite a lot, because it's a very direct way to figure out is something less than something else. If one date is less than another one, I don't have to bother comparing years and months and days if I can just get the big number that represents the milliseconds. Now, conversely, we have all these get methods. We also have set methods. So where we have get month, we also have set month, where we can pass in the number of the month, set full year, set day, to manipulate those dates. Again, you can find the full description of these in any online JavaScript reference. One thing we'll often have to do is compare dates, and this does not work the way most people think it does. Let's say I create 2 new date objects. And I'm setting them both here to the 1st of January in the year 2000. Again, we're passing a 0 for the month because the month is zero-based here. And then I ask, is date 1 equal to date 2? And I'm using the double equals here. Now this would actually respond as false. Now that's whether I use double equals or triple equals. That's not the problem here. The problem is that dates are object, and they're a bit more complex. And what JavaScript's doing is looking at them going, are these the same object? Well, no, they're actually not. They may internally have the same values as we're concerned, but it's not going that deep. It's realizing there's 2 different objects and saying this is false. We need a simpler way to compare them, the way that we can compare, say, numbers, which is very easy. So what I'll do instead is I'll ask if date1.getTime, that's that really useful method that just returns milliseconds, is equal to date2getTime. Now calling both of these are just going to return milliseconds. It would be like comparing two numbers. And this would return true. Now you can also use this very easily with comparisons such as greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So this is one of those areas where the methods of the date object come in very handy indeed if you don't want to have to manually start comparing year parts and month parts and day parts.